The Biden administration is reportedly nearing an agreement to curtail China's technological and military rise by establishing unprecedented rules to limit U.S. investment in the world's second-largest economy, the latest Washington containment of China's technology sector. Experts said the move will harm the interests of U.S. firms, which are rooting for China's rebounding economy, especially in the post-COVID period, and disrupt the global industry chains as China is still the world's manufacturing powerhouse. In the long run, the U.S.'s decoupling and protectionism will harm itself. Welcome back to NDP News. Whether you're a new subscriber or a returning one, we're glad to have you here. Our channel offers extensive daily coverage of international relations and current geopolitical events. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into today's topic. The current administration of President Joe Biden in the United States has been grappling with how best to limit economic engagement with China, with disagreements at the highest levels of government on the most effective approach. However, recent developments suggest that officials are moving towards an agreement on a key effort to curb China's technological and military ascent. Unprecedented regulations that restrict American investments in China are expected to be announced soon, with industry groups like the Chamber of Commerce already receiving briefings on the executive order's broad outlines. This measure is anticipated to require companies to notify the government of new investments in Chinese tech firms and prohibit some deals in critical sectors like microchips. At a time when both the United States and China's economies are teetering on the brink of recession, such an announcement is especially delicate. The Biden administration has been trying to maintain trade ties with Beijing, while simultaneously attempting to rein in China's rising military and economic power. It is a difficult balancing act, given that anti-China sentiment is at a peak among lawmakers and the public. The recent incident where China flew a spy balloon over the U.S. in February has only fueled such fervor. However, aggressive actions to sever the relationship between the two nations could potentially lead to an economic downturn for both, as noted by He Weiwen, a senior fellow at the Center for China and Globalization. This move is consistent with the U.S. government's trade actions on China last year. In October 2022, the U.S. Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security implemented extensive regulations that restricted the exports of chips made using U.S. tools to China. The Biden administration is also pressuring other countries to contribute to its goal of undercutting China's ability to manufacture advanced chips. The Biden administration's efforts to curtail China's rising technology prowess are notable. As He Weiwen notes, the U.S. is adopting a Cold War mentality towards China, without any support from market logic and economic rules. This approach is likely to have a limited impact on further investment by U.S. companies in China, given the importance of the vast Chinese consumer market to these firms. However, investment in technology-related content is expected to be affected by the new regulations, as Gao Lingyong, an expert at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in Beijing, highlights. The forthcoming rules will likely harm U.S. technology startups and innovation-driven firms that rely on the Chinese market to apply their technologies, test their products, and drive their innovation. Is the U.S. seeking to decouple from China? The United States has been pursuing a decoupling strategy with China, which is believed by many experts to distort markets and efficiency. Such a move could eventually lead to a significant disadvantage for the U.S. and also increase the cost of its companies and consumers, while disrupting global industry chains. Gao Lingyong, an expert at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in Beijing, argues that this strategy is bound to fail due to its negative economic implications. However, Jay Shambaugh, Treasury's Undersecretary for International Affairs, recently emphasized that the U.S. does not intend to decouple from China or limit China's growth in any way. He added that while the U.S. may take targeted national security actions aimed at Chinese firms, such policies are not intended to benefit the U.S. economically vis-a-vis China. Despite such conciliatory remarks, the U.S. is reportedly preparing to take several actions targeting critical parts of the Chinese economy, in addition to an expected executive order on investments. There is also talk of a potential ban on the popular Chinese-owned app, TikTok. Furthermore, a senior trade official recently suggested that the U.S. may consider increasing tariffs on China to express its displeasure with Beijing's failure to adhere to the so-called Phase 1 trade deal signed under former President Donald Trump. Please give this video a thumbs up as we continue. Do investors prefer China? As geopolitical tensions continue to simmer between Washington and Beijing, U.S. companies are finding a silver lining in China's rebounding economy. Despite the U.S. government's politicization of restrictions on China, American corporations such as Tesla and Intel are boldly expanding their presence in the Chinese market. As the world's second-largest economy emerges from the pandemic, it is poised to open up its markets even wider to foreign investors. In a show of confidence, Tesla has announced plans to build a mega factory in Shanghai that will manufacture its energy storage product, Megapack. The groundbreaking ceremony is scheduled for the third quarter of this year, with production set to commence in the second quarter of 2024. Similarly, Intel recently opened an office in Sanya, Henan Province, for its integrated circuit business. The new entity will conduct international trade, technology services, and equity investment activities, with the goal of creating a new business entity and serving as Intel Capital's business headquarters in China. These moves reflect the results of a recent survey by the American Chamber of Commerce in South China, which found that over 90% of participating companies view China as one of their most important investment destinations. Additionally, 75% of companies stated their intention to reinvest in China in 2023, despite the ongoing tensions between the U.S. and China. Foreign-funded companies, including those from the U.S., remain optimistic about the Chinese market and are planning to expand their business there. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning highlighted this positive outlook in a press conference in March. China-U.S. trade and investment cooperation is mutually beneficial and win-win, she stated. Decoupling and breaking the chain will harm others and ourselves. It is unpopular and unfeasible. Mao went on to emphasize that China is determined to continue expanding its high-level opening up policy and to share development opportunities with the world. She welcomed companies from all over the world, including those from the U.S., to enter the Chinese market and work together to promote global economic growth. Biden administration insists on no shift in China policy, despite recent statements. According to a senior administration official who spoke on the condition of anonymity, the recent statements by U.S. economic, diplomatic, and security leaders on China do not indicate a shift in policy or rhetoric. However, the official acknowledged that policy discussions continue regarding the extent of an executive order to regulate U.S. investment and other initiatives in China. The Biden administration aims to ensure that they are proceeding correctly and are consulting with allies and industry, while adhering to regular order processes for regulation. The U.S.-China relationship took a positive turn after a meeting between President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping in November 2022, where they pledged to put a floor on the souring relationship. However, the détente was short-lived, as the road to rapprochement was interrupted by a suspected Chinese spy balloon that floated over the continental U.S. in February. This incident led to the postponement of Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and Secretary of State Antony Blinken's trips to China, and the Biden administration imposing sanctions on Chinese firms connected to the incident. Do you think the U.S. is seeking to decouple its economy from China or to limit China's economic growth? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments below. And why not check out our other content? This has been NDP News, and we'll see you in the next one.